Hello to all participants of the conference. My name is Olga Pavlova and I am a PhD student of Computer Engineering and System Programming Department of Khmelnytsky National University. Let me introduce the method of forming a logical conclusion about legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain. Nowadays, modern business faces the necessity to process huge amounts of information every day. Currently, all companies use different web services on the Internet for their purposes, which makes their businesses vulnerable to cyber attack. Therefore, the issue of the information security becomes more acute since cyber attack on critical infrastructure systems pose real threats to the safety of human community, lead to human casualties, environmental disasters, and significant financial losses. Today, on a monthly basis, Ukraine undergoes cyber attacks from 3,000 to 3,500 times. The loss of the world economy as a result of cyber attacks reached $3.5 million United States dollars last year. Therefore, most countries in the world carry out comprehensive measures to ensure national cybersecurity. These measures relate first and foremost to the development and improvement of regulations as well as to the establishment of departmental and state structures that regulate and are responsible for ensuring the security in the cyberspace. Since the picture shows that Ukraine belongs to the most cyber-insecure countries, it is a relevant and urgent task. Here we can see the main documents and organizations that regulate cybersecurity in the world. In Ukraine, cybercrime is provided for criminal and civil liability under the Criminal Code and the Civil Code of Ukraine, Articles 277, 278, 280, as well as under the Law of Ukraine on the Fundamental Principles of Cybersecurity in Ukraine. Therefore, developing of the decision-making support system that can provide a conclusion about legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain, which will propose sanctions recommended in the case of the offense or multiple offenses, can significantly improve the productivity of the Ukrainian cyber police. For developing such decision-making support system, a method and a productive rules for forming a logical conclusion about legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain should be developed, which is the purpose of this research. This DSS can be represented as a formal system, set C from A, PR, and M. The DSS inputs set A are actions, offenses which entail certain sanctions under the current legislation of Ukraine. The outputs of the DSS set C are the results of the data analysis on the basis of which the decisions are generated. Then the relationship between the input and output parameters is a mathematical description of DSS. Set C from M from E, where M is the method that allows two parameters of A to match an alternative of C using the production rules of PR. Therefore, the tasks that must be solved to achieve this purpose are developing the production rules set PR and method M of forming a logical conclusion about legal regulations in the cybersecurity domain is the first one. And the second one is design of decision support system for forming a logical conclusion about legal regulations in the cybersecurity domain for the selection of sanctions which are recommended in the case of the cybersecurity offense or multiple offenses. First of all, we will develop the production rules of forming a logical conclusion about legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain. This set is based on the norms of the Criminal and the Civil Codes of Ukraine, Articles 277, 278, 280, and the norms of the Law of Ukraine on the fundamental principles of cybersecurity in Ukraine. For this purpose, we will form a set of action offenses which entail sanctions under the current legislation of Ukraine, set A, from A1 to A10. Here we can see a full list of production rules. And, for example, if some person has committed action A1, then such person will be punished by a fine of 600 to 1,000 tax-free minimum incomes or by restrictions of the liberty for a term of 2 to 5 years or imprisonment for up to 3 years with deprivation of the right to occupy certain position or engage in certain activities for a term up to 2 years. Then, on the basis of the developed production rules, we will develop the method of forming a logical conclusion about legal regulation in the cybersecurity domain that we can see on the scheme. According to this method, the set of actions, offenses, a real, which are committed by the offender is formed. Then a rule or rules from the set of production rules from PR1 to PR13 are searched for each of the elements of the set a real. If the rule is found, then the conclusion is drawn about the sanctions which recommended in the case of committing an action, offense, or a few actions or offenses. If the rule is not found, then there is no sanction accordance with the modern legislation of Ukraine. For example, some person has created and distributed a new computer virus which is designed for unauthorized interference with the operation of the computer network of some enterprise. Then for this case, a set of a real will be the following: creation for the purpose of use, distribution or sale, as well as distribution or sale of malicious software or hardware, which intended for unauthorized interference with the operation of computers, automated systems, computer networks, or telecommunication networks. And in the set of production rules, the search of the rule for this action is executed. This is PR3, according to which this person shall be punished by a fine of 600 to 1,000 tax-free minimum incomes or corrective labor on the term of 2 years or by imprisonment on the same term. Similarly, if some person has performed unauthorized modification of information that is processed in the automated system of some enterprise, then for this case, a real will be the following: unauthorized modification, destruction, or blocking of information that is processed in computers, automated systems, or computer networks, or stored on special media of such information. Then, for this case, as said, of production rules, the search of a rule for this case is executed. Then this person, according to the production rule 7, will be punished by a fine of 5,000 of 500 to 1,000 tax-free minimum incomes, or to corrective labor for a term up to 2 years. To sum up, at present, in the age of the information security, cyber weapons in terms of efficiency and impact can be equaled to weapons of mass destruction. Today, no state can say with certainty that its networks are fully secure and able to withstand multi-vector cyber attacks, so cybersecurity has become a priority in many countries. A successfully implemented decision-making support system that can provide a conclusion of legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain, namely proposed sanctions recommended in the case of an offense or multiple offenses, can significantly improve the productivity of the Ukrainian cyber police. During this research, the method and production rules of forming a logical conclusion about legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain that are used to form the conclusion about legal responsibility were first proposed and developed. Therefore, design, developing, implementing the decision support system for the selection of sanctions which are recommended in the case for the cybersecurity offense or multiple offenses on the basis of production rules and method of forming a logical conclusion about legal responsibility in the cybersecurity domain, which have been proposed, are the directions of our future work. Thank you for attention.